Heavy rain was lashing against the old Victorian mansion. A loud clap of thunder boomed, tearing through the night sky. Lightning flashed, illuminating the house for a fleeting moment, making it look like a menacing shadow against the raging storm. It was an angry night, a reflection of the devastation that was to come. The wind howled and moaned, rattling the old, decaying windows of Blackwood Manor. The once grand estate was now shrouded in darkness and whispered rumors of tragedy. Tonight, those whispers would turn into terrifying screams. Detective Harding arrived at the mansion, his trench coat billowing in the wind. The storm raged around him, flashes of lightning illuminating the dark, imposing structure ahead. The mansion stood like a sentinel to secrets, its windows like watchful eyes, observing his every move. The local constable, a nervous young man with wide, frightened eyes, met him at the rusted iron gates. His hands trembled as he fumbled with his flashlight, casting erratic beams of light that danced on the wrought iron. "Dreadful business, sir," he stammered, his voice barely audible above the roar of the storm. The wind howled, carrying with it the scent of rain and something else, something more sinister, something that made the hairs on the back of Harding's neck stand on end. Inside, the mansion was a macabre spectacle. The grand hall, once a place of splendor and grandeur, now resembled a tomb. Shadows clung to the corners, and the air was thick with the smell of decay and aged wood. On the grand staircase lay a body, eyes wide with terror, frozen in a silent scream. The victim's clothes were soaked, not just from the rain, but from the blood that had pooled around him, seeping into the cracks of the ancient wood. The victim, Mr. Blackwood, the last of his lineage, was pale as the moon that peeked through the stormy clouds. His lifeless eyes told a story of terror, a final, desperate plea for mercy that had gone unanswered. The storm outside mirrored the chaos within, as if nature itself was lamenting the demise of the last Blackwood. Detective Harding knelt beside the body, his eyes, seasoned from years of experience, surveyed the scene. He noted the position of the body, the angle of the wounds, the scattered belongings that hinted at a struggle. Every detail was a piece of the puzzle, a clue that would lead him to the truth. His mind raced, piecing together the events that led to this gruesome discovery. Who could have done this, and why? The answers were hidden in the shadows, waiting to be unearthed. Harding knew this was only the beginning, and the mansion held many more secrets within its walls. With a look of grim determination, Harding rose to his feet, ready to delve deeper into the mystery. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside, a different kind of storm was brewing. Fueled by the relentless pursuit of justice, the detective was prepared to face whatever horrors lay ahead. The air hung heavy with the smell of dampness and decay. The walls, once vibrant with life, now stood as silent witnesses to the passage of time. Every creak of the floorboards seemed to echo the whispers of those who once walked these halls. The atmosphere was thick, almost tangible, with the weight of forgotten memories and untold stories. As Harding surveyed the scene, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every shadow seemed to shift. Every corner seemed to hold a secret. The detective's instincts, honed by years of experience, were on high alert. He knew this place held more than just echoes of the past. It had a presence. Something unseen but deeply felt. The mansion had a history, one that whispered of dark secrets and unspeakable tragedies. Built in the late 1800s, Blackwood Manor had seen generations come and go, each leaving behind a legacy of sorrow and mystery. The townsfolk spoke of the mansion in hushed tones, sharing tales of a ghostly aura and unexplained events. It was said that the very walls of the house had absorbed the anguish of its inhabitants, replaying their torment for any soul brave enough to enter. The constable, his face pale, pointed to a dusty old portrait above the fireplace. "That's where it all began," he whispered, his voice trembling. The portrait depicted a stern-looking man, his eyes seeming to follow Harding's every move. "That's Jonathan Blackwood, the original owner. They say he made a deal with dark forces, and the family's been cursed ever since." "They say Blackwood Manor is cursed, sir." The constable's words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of generations of fear and superstition. "Every member of the family who's lived here has met a tragic end," he continued, his voice barely a whisper. "Accidents, illnesses, disappearances. It's like the house itself demands a sacrifice. That every generation would suffer a tragic fate. A chill ran down Harding's spine as he glanced at the portraits lining the walls. Each face seemed to tell a tale of despair, of lives cut short by some unseen force. The detective couldn't help but wonder if he was looking at the faces of victims, each one a testament to the mansion's dark legacy. Harding stared at the portrait, a shiver running down his spine. Jonathan Blackwood's eyes seemed to pierce into his very soul, as if warning him of the dangers to come. The detective knew that uncovering the truth about Blackwood Manor would be no easy feat, but he was determined to solve the mystery no matter the cost. The whispers of the past were calling, and Harding was ready to listen. Harding was a man haunted by his own demons, his past a graveyard of unsolved cases and personal loss. He drowned his sorrows in whiskey and cigarettes, seeking solace in their fleeting embrace. The darkness of the mansion mirrored the darkness within him. He took a long drag from his cigarette, the ember glowing like an evil eye in the darkness. He sensed this case would push him to the edge of his sanity. The investigation began. Each room Harding entered whispered tales of the Blackwood family's troubled past, a jealous brother, a scorned lover, a greedy heir. The mansion became a labyrinth of secrets, each more sinister than the last. A hidden passage behind a bookshelf. A diary filled with crazed ramblings, a blood-stained letter opener hidden in the attic, each clue a piece of a horrifying puzzle. As Harding delved deeper, he noticed strange occurrences. A cold spot near the fireplace, the faint scent of lavender perfume in the air, the sound of a woman weeping in the dead of night. It was as if the mansion had come alive, its very walls whispering its secrets. He began to suspect this was no ordinary murder. Something else was at play, something sinister that lurked in the shadows of Blackwood Manor. One night, while going through old case files, Harding felt a presence in the room. He turned, his hand instinctively reaching for his revolver, but there was nothing there. Yet he could feel it, watching him, cold and calculating. Fear, cold and sharp, stabbed through him. He was not alone in the house. The killer was still out there, lurking in the shadows, a phantom playing a deadly game. The storm raged on, mirroring Harding's growing terror. He was trapped in a nightmare. The lines between reality and delusion blurring. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind against the windows sent shivers down his spine. Was he losing his mind, or was there truly something supernatural at play? The mansion played tricks on his mind, making him question his own sanity. This case was breaking him. The case remained unsolved. Despite the relentless efforts of the police force, the mystery surrounding the elusive killer continued to baffle everyone involved. The investigation board was filled with photographs, notes, and red strings connecting various pieces of evidence, yet none of it led to a concrete answer. The frustration was palpable, especially for Detective Harding, who had dedicated countless hours to cracking the case. He had interviewed witnesses, followed leads, and even consulted with specialists. But the shadowy figure always seemed to be one step ahead. The killer, a phantom who vanished into thin air, left no trace behind. Every time the authorities thought they were close, the individual would disappear, fading into the fog like a ghost. The city streets were filled with fear and whispers of a mysterious silhouette that haunted the dark alleys. People spoke of the killer in hushed tones, as if merely mentioning the name would conjure the phantom shadow. The fear was not just of the unknown, but of the killer's cunning and elusiveness. Harding left Blackwood Manor, forever marked by the experience. The mansion, with its towering spires and dark history, had been the epicenter of the investigation. Harding had spent nights within its walls, hoping to unravel the secrets it held. But the more he tried to delve into its past, the more he realized that some mysteries were beyond human comprehension. It was as if the mansion had a life of its own, whispering secrets and casting a long shadow that played tricks on the mind. As he walked away at the break of dawn, the weight of the unsolved case lay heavy on his shoulders. He never found the answers he sought, but he knew one thing. There was a dark power within the mansion, a ghostly presence that lingered long after the storm had subsided. The townsfolk continued to report strange occurrences, lights flickering in the dead of night, and eerie sounds echoing through the corridors.